welcome back to a new episode of the Women's Strength Society show. Today with part 2 of my pregnancy diaries. We're talking about all things training, strength training, cardio training, maybe some mobility and stretching. What am I doing? What am I not doing? What advice am I listening to and what not? So what have I done the last couple of months of this pregnancy? Currently, I'm in my 3rd trimester, 8 months pregnant, so we don't have that much time left, being only
Crazy.
the 2 of us. Although I already feel like it's the 3 of us.
Yeah, you can feel that. I'm not feeling it. Like I can only feel it from the outside periodically.
Yeah, but baby boy is like so active and kicking and training, and we're always kind of laughing about it because we imagine him doing some like plyometrics in my belly.
That's literally what he's doing, actually.
Yeah, because he's like strengthening his joints and getting like stronger.
Yeah, and
He's
I mean,
building some muscles.
We learned like over the weekend during labor prep course,
Birth prep
course, that the baby is like actually taking part into labor, and that he's going to push himself out
by kicking with his feet.
And this is pretty much what's happening already. There's a reflex in the baby to crawl. That's another one, like a reflex of crawling on its side to get to your breast to get some milk. But the other reflex, and that's also tested for when the baby's out, is the kicking with the legs. And so he's actually doing plyometrics.
That's
actually what he's doing. And we also learned that there are some movements that you could feel that are pretty rhythmic and not so intense, but like evenly spaced out. And apparently it's more like a hiccup thing.
Yeah.
And the hiccup is actually there to strengthen his diaphragm and whole respiratory system.
It's
so
crazy.
At first it was like, poor him, he's having hiccup, because it's not like super fun the way we think about it. But then I was like, hey, he doesn't know what it means to be upset.
That's true.
Yet, and it's also helpful for him to develop his diaphragm and respiratory system. So then it was like, okay, actually pretty good. But back to you and your training.
Back to me and my training. Yeah, of course I'm trying
Did you do some plyometrics?
I'm trying to raise an athlete inside of me with everything that I'm doing. Like when I'm training, I'm definitely thinking of him gaining some good muscle mass. Cool. When I'm destroying my quads, I think of him getting like some good quads, which is always good to have. And we are always joking a little bit around about him being the combination of the both of us. And we kind of have like opposite strengths when it comes to our
100%.
athletic performance.
From bottom to top. My calves, your quads, my hamstrings, my glutes, your abs.
My back probably also.
Your erectus peniis, definitely. My lats, your trap.
Oh, yeah.
Your biceps, my triceps.
My shoulder.
Your shoulders, my forearms.
Yeah.
There you have it. So hopefully that's going to be the combination.
The perfect athlete.
If that's the case, like your lactate tolerance, my endurance.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then it's going to be a pretty good combination.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very how do you say that? Adventurous? No. Like if someone has an advantage. An athlete with a very big competitive advantage.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's
my
see.
Flexibility, your speed.
Oh yeah, true that. Like we are very like much on the opposite side of the spectrum when it comes to athletic performance for a few things. Yeah.
So how did you take care of that during pregnancy? What did you do?
So first off, I think what definitely helped me, and we talked about that as well in the previous episode. If you have not listened to it, it's where we talked a bit more about nutrition specifically during pregnancy and then also supplements. So listen to that, go back one week, tune in. But one thing I said on this episode was that everything I did prior to my pregnancy was so important for the way I was approaching then also training during pregnancy. And again, if you have not strength trained before at all, or you are out of your routine, then please, if you can, start with it while being pregnant. It doesn't mean that everything is lost and now you just have to do some yoga and stretching for the rest of your pregnancy. Don't be scared to go to the gym, lift some weights, move some weights around. Use machines, barbells, whatever suits you the best. But definitely what helped me personally was everything that I did the years prior to getting pregnant, not only in terms of improving my health performance, like getting stronger, but also having the confidence in like my body and how I'm approaching the gym and training in general.
Yeah.
So I think
physical ability, essentially.
that's something that has helped me, because I remember one of the first, and I mean my doctor she's cool. We both like her, but one of the first things she said in the first or second appointment we had with the like first ultrasound, when it came to like training, she was like, don't lift weights, like 10 kilo max, which is like 22 pounds. I'm like, what the fuck? 10 kilo max, and no barbell work. Like barbell work is dangerous. Like this was her, these were her words. And I was just like, okay, I know better and I'm very confident in like what I'm doing. But I was very sad for all the women that are in her office, in her practice, who don't have that confidence and maybe are not that advanced in training, and that are just getting scared of lifting more than 10 kilo and using a barbell, because I think it's just plainly wrong to say it's dangerous. It's very generalized, and even for someone who has no experience with lifting weights, I think someone can start lifting weights even while just getting pregnant and starting like the pregnancy journey. You don't have to have any experience before your pregnancy. So I was glad that I had this huge amount of experience under my belt before getting pregnant. I really hope that it's going to change in the future, right? That doctors maybe do have to do some updates on their knowledge. I don't know if this will be the case ever, but I hope for it.
Yeah. Quickly on that note, like there are definitely two people that we follow on Instagram who are doing research on pregnant women, and shout out to them. So it's their names, Christina Prevet and Margie Davenport. So check them out on Instagram because they put out a lot of very good content. They are actively doing research on that topic. And it's much more nuanced, but also permissive as just saying like don't lift any weight. It's also like very individual and based on the kind of experience that you've had prior and your training experience, training level before going into pregnancy, and what's going to be recommended for you. And so as Dragana was saying, she had like a lot of experience before that, so definitely something that she wanted to maintain throughout pregnancy. And I think it was super helpful for you to also like, I don't know, go through pregnancy for your, not only for like physical health, but also from a mental well-being perspective.
To go through pregnancy, or you mean training?
Training during pregnancy.
Training during pregnancy. Yeah, 100%. I think me not training during pregnancy, I don't know. I think
you'd have been pretty miserable.
Yeah. And I mean, we were on that, we did the birth prep course over the weekend, and there were a lot of other ladies pregnant. And we had a little like task to do of like the physical and mental challenges and changes that we were experiencing going through pregnancy, and everyone had to share something. And I just said, like, I have bigger boobs and a bigger bum, and now also bump, but also, you know, the glutes and thighs are bigger. But they had a lot of like emotional challenges, and also like being irritated and a little bit like snappy and all those things. And I was just thinking to myself that I think that a lot of women are not training because they don't know or don't understand how they can still train through pregnancy, because there is just too little information out there. And the only thing that you hear is, yeah, get your steps and like walk around, do some yoga and Pilates, maybe go swimming, and what else? Maybe riding a bike.
I think swimming is a big one, and I think swimming is actually, unless like you are a very good swimmer already, I think it's not that great, because it's going to be difficult to maintain position in water, especially, you know, as your core is separating, then you are going to have more difficulty maintaining a proper position. It can be taxing for your back. So I think it's not that great unless you do some, I don't know, aqua bike or aqua gym, that kind of thing, which can be great for like overall fitness. But in my opinion, it's not like the best recommendation to just go swimming.
Yeah, and I think those things are not bad, right? You like go get your steps in, like walk around, move your body, do some yoga, do some Pilates. But that's very like one-sided, and it's very like low impact. And if you're someone who's like cleared from your doctor, like you don't have any like complications or history of complications when it comes to your pregnancy, doing also some hard shit can be helpful. Like you are going through like you're not fragile, you're not broken. You are a woman who's going through just a different season of your life with your body, and so your physiology and psychology is like probably changing through all the hormonal changes that you are going through. But that doesn't disqualify you from being in the gym, training with weights, and also doing some cardio training that can be a little bit more intense. Of course, it comes down to how you are feeling on a daily basis, as well as you are feeling through the different trimesters and months that you're going through, because every month or every trimester will have its own challenges or changes that you are experiencing. And for me, it was very much so the same as prior to my pregnancy, of like, hey, I will have days where I'm more stressed. I will have days where my sleep is poor, where I'm maybe a little bit like not really sick, but I can feel like something is going on here. And so I always had to, or I learned how to adjust my training and auto-regulate my training depending on what's going on in my body. And so I didn't do anything else going through pregnancy. So I was trying to keep my structure and how I was training. I started with I continued with 4 lifting sessions a week, with 2 lower body, 2 upper body sessions. And I think 1 cardio sessions, low intensity zone 2 cardio.
1 to 2 per week, yes.
Yeah, 1 to 2 per week.
At the beginning, we were definitely cautious about doing intervals or higher intensity cardio, and this was in the first trimester, but also before getting pregnant. It was like, hey, let's not push it, because this is definitely a big stress for the body. High intensity interval training, and this is definitely something that can also have an impact on stress response and thus fertility. So we were definitely cautious about that, and we're like, okay, no high intensity interval training before conception and then in the first trimester.
Exactly. And then I think somewhere in the first to second trimester, I was changing from an upper lower split to lifting only 3 times a week instead of 4 times. And what I'm doing since then until now is like having a lower body session, an upper body session, and a full body session. And I really like it.
I think didn't you have like a 3 full body session in the second trimester?
Yeah, but I think I didn't like it. I think
Okay.
it was like too, it felt a little bit like too much.
Too much, yeah.
And so we were switching back to like upper lower and then one full body. And for me, it's the perfect mix.
Yeah, because one thing that happened was you had a bit of tightness and or pain in like adductors and groin region. And what we found was that having a bit less frequency was actually beneficial for that.
Yeah. So one lower body session was like absolutely fine to like destroy my quads and glutes. But doing a second session of like that a week was just like too much. And so that's why only one lower body session. And then I'm doing also some lower body training on my full body day, but it's not, it's heavy deadlifts. So it's not like super intense for my legs in terms of muscular fatigue. Let's say it like that.
Right. In terms of exercise selection, so you never really liked and loved the barbell hip thrust.
No.
But even less now. So having something like down there, lower belly, that's super heavy is not something that you wanted to have, and it's also not something that we necessarily recommend.
I mean, I see on Instagram women doing that, even like pregnant with a like either like single leg or single leg with the dumbbell, or even some women still doing like Smith machine hip thrust or on a machine like hip thrust or just with the barbell. I think it can work because it sits lower than your bump.
Yeah.
And maybe even now it would be easier because now I have a visible bump and I could place it would be very easy to place the barbell like below that because there is nothing here.
And also help with your hands to
like
keep the
push,
placement.
Exactly. So I would like push the my hands into the barbell, which would like also help a little bit with like lat engagement and then being more stable in my like pelvis. But this is how I would approach it now. But because I didn't do that, because at the very beginning it's just like you don't know where this baby is sitting, so it's like a tiny little mini 1 centimeter 5 centimeter thing somewhere there in your uterus, and then it's just like strange to place a barbell there. Now it would be different, but because I haven't done hip thrust in like the last 3 years, probably, maybe even 4, I'm like, why bring it back now?
And there's another argument against the barbell hip thrust. So if you are married to this exercise, then give me some slack. But when you're pregnant, then you're going to carry a lot of weight in front of you, and this is already going to shift your center of mass. And because of that, you are going to be more into extension, and it's going to definitely change the position of your pelvis, which means that your glutes are going to be a bit more in their shortened position. And this is something that is going to be even more accentuated if you do the barbell hip thrust, because this is what you are going to train. You train your glutes in a shortened position mainly. And so this is not necessarily something in terms of movement and biomechanics that would make the most sense. Instead, what you did for quite a long time was 45-degree hip extension, because it was still something where you felt like very comfortable doing.
And also because our machine is big enough so that my whole like trunk is above the pad, and I can really like fold myself in half.
Yeah. So this is something that you kept doing for quite a long time. at some point I think it was just a bit like not that great anymore, so you stopped doing it. And so that was one thing. The other thing that you also did not do was a lot of lying leg curls. At the beginning it was fine, but then
because we don't have a seated
like one, so if you have a seated one, then that's great. You can definitely do that. What you definitely did was squats and RDLs and leg extension and hack squats and some sumo squats, sumo deadlift as well, and some conventional deadlift.
Yeah, I think conventional deadlifts, RDLs are like super easy. Even now with a big belly, I have the feeling like nothing like is in the way. There is like enough space for me. When it comes to squats, I just recently switched now from the hack squat to a box squat. The reason, that's a good question. What's the reason? So I did have the feeling that going like very low on the hack squat, which I'm able to do, like I can squat very as to grass, was just a little bit like too much to then push out of that like really bottom position of a squat in terms of like pressure. And I feel with the box squats, I can better control like the depth, of course, because I have a touch point, a reference point, to not go lower than that. But also I'm able to pretty good like hold tension in my glutes, going down there, tapping onto the box and then coming up again. Whereas in a squat, it can be a little bit tricky, especially as I fatigue, to hold the tension in the muscle when you're like in that bottom position. It's just it's a hard position to be in and push out. And in terms of like intensity, when it comes to like for upper body, I'm doing basically exactly the same. It's like lat pull downs with different grips, horizontal rows with different grips, some shoulder exercises, lateral raises, front raises, rear delt raises, something else, shoulder press, incline press, overhead press with the barbell.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing like, later on I stopped doing like flat bench press, not so much because of like coning. Is it called coning?
Yeah.
Not so much because of that, but just it got a little bit harder to get into that position and then get up again. So it was more so a convenience thing than anything else. I think you can still, I see women also having a big belly and still doing bench press. And I know there is this thing about like you should not lay on your back for a long time, especially like later in pregnancy. But I mean, doing a couple of reps of your like bench press will, if you're feeling good, right, will probably not do anything. It's more so like if you're feeling strange, then yes, it's not a good idea to do that. And again, listening to your body and feeling a little bit like how is this exercise feeling to me, to my body, is so important. And it's important before pregnancy, after pregnancy, during pregnancy.
And I think there were more changes during pregnancy for you than prior to that. Like there was more, there were more moments where you were like, hey, it feels great to increase the weight but not do so many reps. Or now you're saying like, it feels better to actually do a bit more reps, but with less weight. And then there was also some times where you were like, hey, I feel great really pushing it pretty close to failure. But nowadays it's more like, doesn't feel that great, but it also depends on the exercises. There are some where you can just really push harder, and some others where it doesn't feel as good. I feel one that has been very, very consistent has been the deadlift, like the conventional deadlift. You've been progressing that nicely all throughout, mainly, and it's interesting because it's always like, when you're finished with a set, then when you train in the gym, then I'm here and I get a spontaneous feedback from you most of the time. And then very often for the conventional deadlift, it was like, hey, should I do more? Like more reps or more weight? I could do more. Very, very consistently. So
because it just feels very good. Like I have the feeling I still have a good strength. And no matter if like higher reps or lower reps and heavier weight, it feels good. I have the feeling I'm really pushing nicely through my legs, my lower body. And I mean, it was an exercise that I already liked before pregnancy. So
you're kind of built for the conventional deadlift.
Yeah, so I was basically just kicking out everything that I found annoying, but made sure that I'm hitting all muscle groups and training my whole body. So it's not that complicated. I always feel like it's not that just train. Like it's not that complicated.
And but also like be intentional with the kind of mindset that you have when you approach your training and the kind of stimulus or outcome that you want to have. I mean, when it comes to the deadlift, it's like, okay, we are going to try and maintain overall strength. It's a bit less about like hypertrophy and trying to grow as much muscle as possible.
Yeah, because if I can maintain my strength through pregnancy and I can start pretty close after giving birth to train again, which hopefully I can, then I'm pretty close to hitting some PBs.
Yeah.
In the next, I don't know, 6 to 12 months, that's the goal.
And I mean, even with your squats, like you hit some pretty good numbers a bit earlier during your pregnancy.
Yeah. True that.
So it's still like, in that regard, the intention is not as much like, okay, let's try to get as strong and as big as possible. It's more like, okay, how can you be positioned in the most optimal way for after pregnancy when you are going to start again, to go back into the training.
And then 2 other things, just to quickly touch base on that. For like cardio, I'm still doing low intensity cardio, which I do think will help with overall like recovery, but also the idea of building up like my aerobic base or maintaining that at least helps through labor. I mean, labor is not only about endurance, but also going through the pain. But still, you got to have some endurance to be able to
100%.
Go through it for such a long time. You don't know how long it will take. And so especially the whole, before giving birth, like all the hours, 12 to 24 hours or how long it is, that you already have some contractions that can be pretty like tiring. Having some endurance will definitely be beneficial. And talking about contractions, as we know that contractions last like 1 to 1.5 minutes at most. We started just now, last week, to implement isometric holds, which are very nasty. So I started doing wall sits, and I just hate them. Like, isometric holds are so annoying. It's just so painful. Like, you're sitting there, your quads are burning. But I did that like twice for 2 minutes. And I was like, okay, this is such a mental game to endure the pain in my quads and like breathe through it slowly and be like very chill. And so I can definitely see the benefit of doing that regularly in my training sessions as prep for then the real contractions coming, where gladly I'm able to move my body around, because doing wall sits where you cannot like move your body and you just have that burning feeling is definitely like, very hard.
That's part of the mental challenge.
But then thinking like, oh, okay, in labor, I will have those contractions. It will be painful, but I can actually move my body around, is giving me some peace of mind. I'm like, it definitely helps with distraction and not being like crazy focused on that pain, and then also like breathing.
Yeah, and the way we intend to progress on that is to do more rounds and to also make the rest a bit shorter in between.
Yeah.
And so this is hopefully going to be possible. Obviously, this is always like, okay, how is it feeling? Is it doable? Is it not doable? And so forth and so on. But ideally, you can pick one or two exercises. There are different isometric holds that you can do. Another one would be a sumo, like horse stance, for example, sumo position, and just hold that for time. Hamstring bridges are great as well, because you can also load that up. And so having that where you're going to extend and progress in terms of the time domain and the rest period is going to be super helpful. And going back to the cardio, I think it's also a pretty good idea to try and increase the length of the session at a very low intensity. But this is going to be like one of the best ways to increase work capacity over time. And like, you don't have to do a session like low intensity session for 8 hours at a time. That would be a bit too extreme. But at the same time, like, if you can really extend that for more than just 1 hour, but work your way up to 2 or maybe even 3, which is pretty long, but I feel it's still doable, like up until labor. This is something that's definitely going to help also with confidence, like mental confidence. And also physiologically speaking, it's definitely going to help with the recovery between the contraction.
Yeah.
It's going to mainly happen through your aerobic system. And if this is something that you can develop, it's definitely going to be helpful.
Yeah. And the last thing is stretching. Something that I'm definitely not good in making sure I'm getting that in. I mean, I always have a couple of moves that I'm doing pre-lifting that are helping to get a little bit more juicy joints. Not juicy joints, but how do you say that? Juicy.
Grease the groove.
Grease the groove.
Mobile, stay mobile.
Mobile, exactly, especially in my hips. Sometimes like doing a lat stretch is also something I like to do before lifting. But one thing I now want to get into a little bit more is like really stretching for the last couple of weeks until D-Day, which is like 8 weeks to go.
Yeah, and stretching is super interesting because, it's both, it's going to help you stay mobile, but at the same time, it's also like one of the best ways to be exposed and increase your pain tolerance. A lot of the training that's done in training for flexibility with static stretching is going to be about pain tolerance, and it's also a form of like low intensity isometric hold, but you can get into positions that are fairly painful. And I'm not saying like just go there and embrace the pain and just try to make it as painful as possible. Instead, what I'm saying is like find the right position for the stretching. It could be couch stretch where you stretch your quads. It can be for your hamstring, like obviously bending over is more difficult when you have a belly, but you can do it to the sides, and stretching your hamstring is also, and the whole like hip capsule, posterior hip capsule is going to be helpful also if you're a pelvic floor. And getting into that is going to help you stay mobile, but also tolerate the pain, which is like, it's obviously not the same. And I don't mean to make the comparison and say like, hey, if you do stretching, then you are going to just like
fly through labor.
And it's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is this is definitely going to help you, be acquainted with the pain and also develop tolerance to that. So I think it's pretty wise of you to want to be a bit more consistent with it for the last few weeks, and that it's going to be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. I need to take care of that. So we bought a gymnastic mat. So I just need to get my ass on it and actually do it. But yeah, I feel like I'm already doing a lot. And this is like the next thing I need to get a hang of. And I think what's always holding me back is that I think it takes so much time, but then even like stretching for 5 to 10 minutes a day can already make a difference if I'm doing it like consistently, especially because I'm also sitting a lot. I mean, I'm trying to get my 10K steps in a day, like 10 to 12, which is on most days no problem, but I'm also sitting a lot, right? So trying to do that on a daily basis will for sure help me to stay more.
Also a good opportunity to try and let go.
Yeah.
Release the tension.
Release the tension. That's why I started now with acupuncture, right? So that I can like release the tension and be my most chill self in the next couple of weeks, because being less stressed is definitely important. So when it comes to training, again, I will not push it hard in those last 8 weeks, but see that I get a good amount of like reps in at a weight that feels like heavy, but also like I could do a little bit more.
So back to bodybuilding training.
back to bodybuilding training. Yeah, I like it.
Awesome. Then let's build.
That's it for today.
That's it for today.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.